Hey everybody, how y'all feeling out there? This is Greg Aalvik and we're here for the Dubl A Show. Today on the Dubl A Show, more is going to be revealed about the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. The opinions and perspectives expressed on this program are exclusive to the Dubl A Show. Greg's unique perspectives are not found in a church, mosque, or a synagogue. This show contains offensive language and irreverent themes. So getting after some more of those funky religious doctrines, here's Greg Aalvik. So today we found out last time that the tree of the knowledge of good and evil is a fig tree. And we were about ready to embark on the task of finding out what the spiritual implications of it being figs were. Or a fig tree was. We need to know what those things are. That's the whole reason for this show. So we're going to get into it, folks. We're going to get into it right about now, all right? Okay, for those of you that didn't watch the last video, we established through a lot of Sherlock Holmes work, detective work, very grade A detective work, that the tree of the knowledge of good and evil is probably a fig tree. Because I have this extreme revelation from God. I'm so gifted. No, I'm not really, but it's pretty good conjecture because that's only fruit talked about in the entire discussion about the knowledge of good and evil. And they happened to put fig leaves around them. So there were figs there and they went and were just they just ate the fruit. And so, figs. What does that mean? What does that mean? Does that mean we don't get to eat figs anymore? Are figs bad? Do I have to give up fig Newtons? I love fig Newtons. I really like them. You're kidding, right? We don't have to give up. Listen. A lot. You got to listen closely because this is serious, actually. But a lot of rules get made up just like that. Are figs evil? Now figs are evil, I guess. We have to have a fig restriction. Can't eat figs on Tuesdays. It's stupid, right? I mean, but it's true. Most rules are that dumb. So no, you don't have to give up no fig Newtons. But like I was saying, figs are not the issue. Figs are the sign. It's what they represent that we're after. It's about what they symbolize. The physical object is telling a spiritual story to follow. We get to follow the story. What the story is the fig telling us. It's talking to us. Aren't you curious? Don't you want to know? If you were to go on a crazy OCD period in your life like I did, where I went off studying the Bible, reading the shit out, everything. Just reading the shit out of it. Every waking moment for years, I was just going in every which direction imaginable. I was into this and looking at that, and I was rabbit trailing here and going off on all these various tangents and paths. And I can tell you this for sure. This is for sure after all that. The Bible doesn't push a belief on you. People do, but the Bible does not. It don't. You can read the Bible, and it's mainly just a collection of stories without a lot of interpretation to it. There's a whole bunch of authors, right? And it's pretty much been established. A whole bunch of authors over an immense length of time, and it's fairly undisputed. And the Bible doesn't lay out exact ways to think and exact rules to follow. Now, it did in the Old Testament for the Jews, right? Because that was the Old Testament thing. The Old Testament was for the Jews, and they gave and it gave them exact laws. But the New Testament says, oh, by the way, that shit don't work. If you try that and do all that stuff, it's just gonna mess you up. So we're gonna be doing a reset now. And we're going to go out with the old, and we're going to go in with the new. So now, in the New Testament, if you're trying to find a system and trying to come up with some sort of systematized religion where it lays out exactly the way you're supposed to worship God. It's way too vague. You ain't going to find nothing. It's just stories with no interpretation. But Paul does some encouraging letters, in his opinion about, he has ideas he offers, and you can stick these things in your belief system. And he doesn't really it's like everything, the whole law went down into love your neighbor as yourself. That's why so many people have been able to take advantage of the Bible. They grab this and that, and they take a pinch of this and a scoop of that and that right there, and they arrange it and twist it and shove it together just to suit exactly what they're trying to do, right? Suit their agenda. So whatever way's best, and these stories get used to make up any kind of phony religion they want. If you emphasize this story and present it in this way, people is going to give you money. And if you highlight these texts right here in the Old Testament and just focus on, David and Abraham, and there's some other examples in here, you can get all kinds of women to have sex with you. Trust me, bro. Now, you want to keep your church big and growing with lots of money coming in. You're going to need people to pay that money, and you also need them to be loyal to your church, right? So you want to make sure you emphasize these covenant things. God makes covenants with people. You got to be a covenant church. You got to be covenant, and say covenant a lot, because that locks people in, and they won't leave your church. If you say covenant, preach covenant. It's covenant church. That's right. And then predators love the Bible. They love this shit because it's vague. See what's going on out there, right? I'm just being real. Churches on every street corner, right next to the Starbucks, because they're on every street corner. How can churches and Starbucks occupy the same street corners? Well, sometimes they do a deal where the Starbucks is in the church, or the church is in the Starbucks. They have the church, but none of them agree with each other. None of them. These guys, they're evil. Those guys that worship at that Starbucks, they're horrible. They do all kinds of stuff wrong, too. They don't have the rules figured out. Those guys think if you do that, then that's special. And these guys over here, they think if you do, they're just all messed up. No one agrees. So many denominations and sects and arguments and isms. The Bible is so spiritual. If you take it literally, it sounds kind of retarded. It literally sounds retarded. That's actually the way it literally, if you take it literally sounds retarded. I like that. Unless you've been drinking that fig-flavored Kool-Aid that they be serving up in those churches, then you probably don't think it sounds retarded. So you know what I'm saying? We were going to do that. We're going to take a little trip and follow Jesus around and see what happens. Because I think we need to hold off and show you what Jesus reveals about this very subject during his ministry and toward the end of his ministry. And it's going to blow your mind. So come back and talk to me. I think it'll take me less than a week to get the next video out. And I appreciate you watching today. And keep in mind, I've got a book I wrote called The Parable, Rescuing the Bible from the Clutches of the Church. It makes sense now, doesn't it? I have in here is my story of really pretty much my adult life. I didn't get well. I got into a little bit early on of growing up in a really strict religious environment, and then sliding into other things. And a lot of my journey is in here, and I go through and come to a lot of conclusions and talk about a lot of my experiences. And some people I found thought that was the point. I thought I was going to make a tabernacle on that particular subject, and that was the pinnacle of my knowledge. And they didn't continue reading. So if you get this book and you look into it, It's quite a revelation all the way through my religious and going beyond my religious experiences into the spirituality that I found and walk in today, which is a lot better, I promise. So anyway, the parable, Rescuing the Bible, and it's written by this guy, Greg Aalvik. See that? That's me. So I also have this AA mug that I'm actually drinking out of today. And I want you to see something, because all my mugs are two-sided because I don't want to waste a whole side of the mug. So it says Dubl A Show and it says Dubl A Show on this side. So for people that are watching you drink, they get to see the Dubl A Show. And for you, you get to see the Dubl A Show while you're drinking. If you're right-handed, it works the same way. It's almost like magic. So that's what I've done with all my mugs. They're $20. $20. Not for a mug, for a Dubl A mug. That's cheap. Okay? So then, or that's not a lot of money for the value you're getting, because you're supporting the ministry. You're supporting, I need money. You're supposed to give to the Dubl A Show because it's a sin if you don't. I'm an idiot. Okay, I'm going to knock it off now, and we're going to lock it up. Double.